All right, here we go. Outlawz in the building.
Outlawz. What's happening, Vlad?
E.D and Noble.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having us, man.
How excited are you guys about the movie right now?
Very excited, man. 20 years in the making, behind the scenes stuff. They've been having a deal since for the last 8-9 years or something. So to see it actually finally come to life, despite all the things that have been going on. Pac deserve it, the fans deserve it, It's an awesome thing, man.
Well, you wrote an open letter
about
the movie where you addressed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And, I thought I knew a lot about the movie, and I didn't.
People never know what's really going on. They think they do, but they never have a clue,
So a couple of the interesting things that I took away from your open letter was, I guess Michael B. Jordan was originally considered for the role of Tupac.
Yeah, the state side, that was the person that they wanted, that I heard.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, he's a dope actor.
He's a very dope actor.
Yeah, he's great.
He was actually somebody I brought up.
Yeah, I think
to LT Hunt and Benny, and they had their reasons for going with somebody else, but he was my first initial pick.
Dope actor doesn't really look like Tupac.
Right. That's the thing. When an actor doesn't have to necessarily exactly resemble somebody to be able to bring them to life on screen.
This is true.
It's like, everybody don't have a twin walking around. You know
right.
What I mean?
Well, but the actor they chose was Demetrius Shipp.
D-Ship.
He definitely looks more like Tupac.
Super look like him. Just like him. Absolutely.
You think he pulled off the role well?
Extremely well. The people gonna fall in love with the bro.
He carries the movie.
Yeah.
He carries the one. He has to.
Yeah,
he's playing Tupac.
You know what I mean? He does that.
For
he
his
does a good job at that.
For his first role ever, you can imagine what kind of pressure, every day. Once the people found out it was him, the fans was, beating him up every day online, like, you fucking better do this shit, and when I met him, I was he's just a genuine dude, man.
Shout out to his acting coach too,
Yeah.
Angela Gibbs. Marla Gibbs' daughter. She worked real close with him and getting him ready for this role, and even during the filming process, every day, she was working with him.
Right, because like you mentioned, this is his first acting role ever.
Huge pressure.
So he's never been in short films or nothing.
Nothing, but
he said he did a couple of plays in high school.
That don't count though. You can't even count that compared to this. But he did his research. He was researching the Panthers and the elements that made Tupac who he was. You know what I mean? So he did his homework. He trained extensively for this for years, man. So I think he did extremely well.
Well, another interesting part that you brought up in your open letter was the whole John Singleton controversy.
Right.
So I guess initially John Singleton was supposed to direct the film.
I don't think he was the first guy, but in the midst of them switching,
yeah,
he came on board.
Which a lot of people thought was a good fit.
I thought it was a good fit too.
Yeah, because he did Poetic Justice.
He's a great director, period.
And he's worked with Tupac.
Can't take nothing away from John Singleton as far as what he's done.
Right.
You know what I mean, for movies and for the culture.
Absolutely. But you pointed out some very interesting things about Singleton. So essentially, he started to make his own script.
Right.
And in the script, he insinuated that Tupac got raped in jail.
Right.
Which is pretty crazy. I've never heard that.
He insinuated it. You know what I mean?
So
he wanted to, that's the Hollywood shit. You know what I mean? Let's put some extra stuff up in there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And he also insinuated that Afeni's a lesbian.
Right. That's what he insinuated.
Which I've never heard before either.
Because it's not true.
Right.
He insinuating stuff, and they fired him, What I didn't like was, of course, it's always shit going behind the scenes that people don't know. I didn't like how he went on his interview campaign to basically try to discredit everything they was doing, all the hard work, it's almost like, let me put this out there first, just in case they, come back. So he went on his smear campaign about, the Tupac movie and what they was trying to do over there, and he was the one who, got fired for basically trying to put that kind of shit in the movie. You know what I mean?
So that was the reason why he got fired.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Right.
Like when I got the call that he got fired, I'm like, fuck, like he was the perfect guy. then I heard the reason. I'm like, oh yeah, he's a fucking piece of shit. Fire him. You know what I mean?
Right, because then he started doing interviews about it. I guess he was
Exactly.
saying he's going to do his own Tupac movie later on.
Right. So he got fired, and of course he didn't want people to know, why he got fired. So of course he went on his campaign saying, yeah, well I left because they wasn't trying to play Tupac right and trying to, discredit his mom and,
Yeah, and it was just, me personally, I would expect more from John Singleton because, race doesn't matter, but John, you were a new black film director at one time in your career, right. And you got criticism, early on, and now you turn around and do the same thing to Benny Boom, and you would expect John Singleton to say, you know what, that happened to me before, I'm not gonna do that. Even though I'm not in agreement with whatever happened, I'm gonna just keep my mouth closed. In the sake for the culture, in sake of, another brother doing a movie, especially on somebody that I care about right. and had a relationship with.
It's a fucked up situation when you got a black executive like LT and a good dude like Benny Boom, and it's like they fighting every day, man. Just to try to get it to come to life. You know what I mean? So for your own supposed to be friend and good brother turn around and do stuff like that, it's kind of terrible, man.
Now, in terms of the Tupac story, and growing up in the Bay, everyone that I knew was following Tupac from, Digital Underground, same song. He dropped his first album, and people liked him, but a lot of people didn't really see the big picture and the full potential in the beginning. And what a lot of people felt was sort of the turning point in terms of how people viewed Tupac was the situation in Atlanta where he ended up shooting the 2 white cops.
Basically, an intoxicated off-duty police officer was harassing someone.
A black kid.
Pac said something to him. Pac was in the car with the homies, like 2 cars, and they chose to come to the car and engage, and Pac wasn't the type of dude to back down, and they broke the passenger window, I think. The cop broke the passenger window, and they got shot in the ass.
Now, E.D., you were actually there when it happened. Can you talk about that night and what happened exactly?
I mean, he had a show. It was homecoming, had a show at Clark, Atlanta. We was already living in Atlanta, so he was coming through with a few people that was already, on the road and pretty known for traveling with him. And he was like, yo, I got a show at Clark, and we're gonna go do the show. Y'all be ready. Nothing out of the normal. And so we went and did the show. Show was success. We coming back, celebratory mood. Everybody looking forward to the night's festivities. And when we pull up to the hotel, really couldn't see what was going on, but it looked like a fight. And as we got closer, we seen it was 2 white guys jumping a black dude. You know what I mean? And initially it was just like, y'all get out the way. We trying to park because they was right in front of the entranceway of the hotel we was pulling up into. And it was just about, trying to get them out the way. And then upon further inspection, you see they kicking this dude's ass, really. You know what I'm saying? They working him over. They giving him the business. And immediately, Pac just jumped out the car. And per the usual, whenever he jumped out, everybody was going to jump out. That's just how it went. And so, but we got a caravan. We got a caravan of cars. It's about 7, 8 cars coming with us. So everybody's walking up. Pac was in the lead car, so everybody's coming up. You know what I mean? To see what the fuck is going on. And by the time we actually get up there, this is when, a gun comes out and is pointing at Pac's sternum.
Okay, so one of the white guys pulls out a gun at Pac. So what, Pac runs in and tries to break it up, or?
I mean, nah, he was running in, basically, I don't know what his mind, his thought process, but I'm assuming, because I know him the way I know him, he wasn't just going to ride past that and just be like, all right, that's on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hope you figure it out, homie. So, like I said, we was coming up from a long caravan, so couldn't really hear a lot of the dialogue, but you know, they was going back and forth, and like I said, a gun came out, you know what I'm saying, from one of the white dudes. Now at the time, we don't know the cops. They just two white boys beating up a black
Right,
dude.
because they're off duty.
Right. They were off duty. It's not like they was in uniforms and none of that. So, you know, a gun come out, you know what I'm saying? And Pac pulled up a shirt and was like, thug life, motherfucker, shoot. You know what I mean? And that just stopped the cop in his tracks. He didn't know what to do at that point. So he was standing next to Pac's car, brand new BMW 750 he had just bought, and he just broke the window with the butt of the gun.
The cop broke
Yeah.
Pac's window.
Yeah, with the butt of the gun, and then turned around and started running. You know what I'm saying? And you know, the rest is history.
Well, Pac ended up pulling out his gun
Exactly.
and shooting at the two white off-duty cops.
Yeah, exactly.
Shot both of them.
Got down on one knee.
Oh, he actually got, because I heard he had been,
Pop.
I'd heard that before that he was going to the gun range a lot and practicing a lot.
Always.
Always.
You know what I mean? Always.
was
We
trained.
all went to the gun range, you know what I mean? That's how we relaxed. That's how we passed the time, you know what I mean? And he was definitely a cool shot, a good shot. You know, 3 shots, bang, bang, bang. 2 of them hit.
Okay. He shot 3 times, and I think one of the cops got shot in the ass. Mm-hmm. The other one got shot, what, in the leg or something?
I don't remember.
Okay. So, did the white cops shoot at Pac?
No.
No, they just broke. They just broke his glass.
They pulled a gun out on him. One of
Yeah.
them did and pointed it at him.
Yeah.
I seen that with my own eyes, and you know, broke the window of the BMW, and then turned around and ran.
Okay. Diamond D was there too.
Diamond D was there.
Right. So Pac shot both these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Then what happened?
I mean, at the time, we didn't even know the bullets hit because they had got a pretty good run.
Oh, so he shot them from long range.
Yeah.
Damn,
This
okay.
was
Not
not
on
close
one knee.
range at all. So you know what I mean. We actually, after it was over, it was like, you know, I wonder if I hit him. You know what I mean? And you know, a couple people like, nah, you ain't hit him. You ain't
he shot
you
it
ain't
like
that good
that.
a shot
Yeah.
like that. Come on, stop it. You ain't get that. You know what I mean? And it was just, you know, the night continued. I remember he had just did Dear Mama, and he was really excited about the potential of that record. It wasn't the version that we all know. It was a
Oh,
little
okay. So
bit.
this was before Me Against the World came out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So he had just did that record, and he was real excited about it, and we just went up and listened to that record, and you know what I mean, just chilled out, smoked, chilling, whatever, you know, the normal routine after shows. And
Okay.
shit.
So you're telling me a group of black guys in the South were not freaked out at this point that Pac had just shot 2 white guys
Like I said, we didn't know
in the South.
We didn't know they was hit.
Oh, okay, but still shot at
Yeah.
2 white guys in the South in a historically racist
Well, they
part of the
initiated
country.
it though. You know, they was beating up a dude. They pulled out a gun first, so
Right.
You know,
But still, how many times have you seen
not many.
a black man do something in self-defense and end up going to prison for life?
I mean, you know, black dudes, they kill each other, man. They ain't out here shooting at no white boys. You know what I mean?
Okay, so you guys went back to the studio, all
Nah,
good.
hotel.
The hotel,
Hotel.
chilled, laughed it off essentially, and then the news comes out that these 2 were cops. How did Pac take it when he found that out?
I don't really know because towards the end of the night, we left and went back to the house in Georgia, and he stayed at the hotel. And you know, we got the word that the cops was at the hotel, and he was arrested.
Oh, so they picked him up the same night?
Nah, later that the next day.
The next day?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next day he got picked up, charged, and then he finds out that they were cops.
Right.
How did he feel at that point?
I'm really not sure, man, because he was locked up. You know what I'm saying? And I think once he got bail, he had to go to New York. He was on trial in New York, and you know, everything. You know, that was a hectic month because that's also the month where he was robbed and shot at Quad as well. You know what I'm saying? I think that happened like a month later. So shortly after he made bail and got out of jail, you know, Pac pretty much went back to New York to continue to do what he was doing. I don't know if he was working on a movie or, you know, he was working. So I don't really know how he felt, but I know You know,
That's a crazy situation, man.
It was
he
like, you know,
what the fuck, you know?
Stressed out.
That situation could have took him to a whole different place if it went a different route.
Okay.
But at the time, you gotta, you gotta remember he was fighting like 12 to 13 cases at that time.
Right.
So at that point, it was just like another one. It was just like
Terrible.
Yeah.
Here go another one.
I remember me and Be Legit, we did a talk at UC Berkeley about Tupac, because I had just dropped a Tupac mixtape, and he was, Be Legit was friends with Tupac. And he was telling me how during that time, Pac was wearing silver jewelry and telling people it was platinum because he was so broke from all the lawyers' fees, from fighting all these cases, from trying to fight all these cases that he literally couldn't afford. He was wearing fake jewelry. I mean, not fake, but silver jewelry because it was like.
I don't really remember that, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Be Legit, that's the homie. You know what I mean? I love that. But I don't remember Pac ever having silver jewelry on post his record deal.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
He was spending a lot of money on lawyers.
He was definitely spending a whole shitload of money on lawyers. But remember, he got robbed, and shot for his gold diamond encrusted cross and the Rolex, and you know what I mean? So he still had his pieces, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So he gets charged with the shooting of these two officers, but then it never actually makes it to court, right?
Right.
Because it was proven that they were drinking.
It was proven that they was drinking, that the gun that they had pulled out was from another case they had got out of evidence.
Right.
Out of the evidence locker.
So it was a
or
stolen
whatever.
gun, essentially.
Yeah.
He got lucky to shoot the crooked cops.
They was basically, some dirty dudes.
Yeah.
And at that point, and I remember reading a lot of articles, I think maybe even Jada Pinkett was talking about this, how for a black man to shoot two white cops in the South and to walk away from it, like the effects in the black community were immense from that. Is that a fair statement?
After that definitely put him on legendary status. You know what I mean? Living legend. After that, it was a lot of different incidences that were kind of smaller, but on the same level that never really got, publicized. So, he was already a superhero to us. You know what I mean? Even being our brother. You know what I'm saying? I was pretty impressive to have the wherewithal to do that, because, to be honest with you, it was some cats around, street certified cats around Pac and carrying guns and all of that froze that day. You know what I mean? Pac literally was the only dude that reacted.
Oh, so there was other people with guns who just didn't do nothing.
It was, I put it to you like this, it was other dudes around that you would expect to be the ones
who was probably there to hold him down.
You know what I
for
mean?
different situations.
And Pac was the one that reacted first.
Wow.
It could have went another way, man. You know what I mean? That shit.
Yeah, it could have. They could have shot.
Yeah.
They could have shot when he pulled up his shirt and said, thug life and all that.
Or they could have been not dirty cops, and he could have got sent away for, the rest of half his damn life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, easy.
He got lucky, man.
Oh, easy. In Georgia, forget about it.
Super lucky.
Yeah, they were still, had the Confederate flag up at the time and the whole nine.
Cops had it out for him after that too, man.
Oh, so you think after that's when sort of the animosity between the police and Tupac really elevated?
No, you gotta understand, he come from a Black Panther foundation, so, just his last name alone is like, come from wanted posters and
His
shit
mother
like that.
defeated
you know
the
what I
New
mean?
York judicial system
Right.
by herself, so he was kind of already on the radar.
Yeah.
Long before
That kind of shit
in
though,
Atlanta.
with celebrity and beating that, it got hectic after that, I'm sure.
Were you with Pac when he got shot in New York? No, but you were obviously with him afterwards.
I was in Atlanta, and I was with him afterwards, and during the process of him healing, that whole thing.
Did he know about Dexter Isaac? Did he know who shot him at that point, or at any later point?
I'm not sure. If he did, he never made mention of, he never made mention of us, but he was pretty clear, Pac wasn't the kind of dude that dealt with innuendo or, kind of mincing words and whenever it came to anything that had to do with his life and what he felt happened to him. And I felt like he was very clear about it on wax and in interviews, and the information that he received, he believed.
The brother rest, man. All these stories and, you know, when you got shot and all that, it's like, you know, come on, man.
Right, because Flex went on his whole rant and everything else like that about it.
Exactly.
Right, I felt that, you know, and I don't usually give my opinions about stuff, but I felt that what Flex did was, you know, you're talking about someone who can't defend themselves.
Period.
You know, and someone who's loved all over the world,
Dearly.
you know, beyond any other rapper, I feel.
And let's not get it confused, you know. Tupac is a icon. He's a public figure. You know, he's going to get talked about and scrutinized. But I think it's not what you say; it's how you say it. You know what I mean? So, you know, being on IG Live for the likes and the views, you know, talking down on them spirits like that, it's not a good look, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And what does
You
it
never
do?
hear any West Coast DJs do that. I just find it ironic that, you know, because Pac had West Coast DJs that loved him just like Flex loved Big, but you never hear them ever desecrate the memory of Biggie. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you don't hear East Coast DJs talking about Pac like that, period.
Yeah.
Flex is kind of the only one that's done it. I mean, you can't even set it on an East Coast West Coast thing because it ain't like a whole bunch of.
It's just him.
Yeah, it's really just
and
him.
He been doing that.
You don't
know,
hear no
for-
DJs do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
My
Yeah.
thing is, what does it do for the culture, man? What does it do for our people, man? And,
Absolutely
and
nothing.
progress and positivity and moving hip hop, you know, forward. It's like come
He
on,
says
man.
he wants
You
the
know what I
truth
mean?
to be. He wants the truth to come to light, but you using
Right.
or everything you using is either hearsay or just a straight out, flat out lie. So
Right.
how you gonna get to the truth? You know what I mean, with hearsay and lies.
Well, I mean, part of the story was that Tupac did shoot himself during the altercation, which I don't think is anything to be ashamed of.
That means you wasn't about to go down without a fight.
Right.
It's like, you know, that's honorable. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
like I'm ready to go out in the blaze. But if he, you know,
But still, this shit ain't true though.
Oh, so
You know
it's
what I
not
mean?
true?
Nah, it's
Right.
incorrect.
Okay, so you and Pac had a conversation about this.
I saw his wounds heal, bro.
Okay.
I saw him heal from that. And the trajectory of the bullet wound, it's no way you could do that. You would have to turn the gun around like this
Oh, so it
and
wasn't-
pop yourself.
it wasn't down.
It was in.
So all that's a lie.
It's a lie. It's hearsay. You know what I mean?
was
and it was
Flex
a way.
there? You know what I mean? Was one of his boys there and did the shit? You know what I mean? So it's like, come on, man.
It's shit that is folklore.
Yeah, street shit, you know. It's all kind of street shit. Niggas will be like, oh yeah, this is
It's a wives' tale.
Come on, man.
It's a myth.
If Flex was here right now, what would you tell him?
Grow
Huh?
up.
Good-
Grow
good
the
one,
fuck
good
up,
one,
man.
good
You know
one.
what I mean?
I was gonna say the other up, like shut up.
Right.
Grow up is
Yeah,
even better.
grow the fuck up, man. You know what I
Grow
mean?
up is even better.
So you know what's disgusting, man, for a guy like that to have a position, you know, on the radio where your job is really supposed to be biased. Like, you know, I could play the Tupac, the this and that. It's like, you know how many times we done came to New York, had a nice publicist reach out to them and they turned us down. And the publicists come back to us like they up there literally blackballing y'all. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you've never done a Hot 97 interview?
Never.
Huh.
Reached out to him every time we came out here. And, you know, the publicist basically was like, he wanted the dudes up there. You know what I mean? That, like, nah, we don't want the Outlawz up here. Like,
20
the whole
plus
New
years.
York,
Yeah.
a love for us to be up there and, you know, hear what we got to say about whatever they want to ask us. Like, you don't want the Outlawz up at Hot 97. You know what I mean?
mean,
But you got dudes. It's been going on like that since Pac died. You know, he made a lot of enemies. He was the man. So when he died, it was like us, his brothers, you know, them doors would get shut. Like, oh, nah, we ain't letting y'all, because we a direct
And this guy's
reflection
one of the
and
elder
connection.
statements in
You
hip
know what I
hop.
mean?
Elder statesman in hip hop.
I
think that comes with a certain level of
Yeah,
responsibility
man, it do.
that he just really threw out the window, and along with his credibility. You know what I mean? He diminished himself, you know what I mean, in the eyes of not only the public, but as far as history and hip hop is concerned. Like, this is kind of what Funkmaster Flex is gonna be known for. You know what I mean? The IG Live, the crying, the hysterics. You know what I mean? The shit was really a bad look for him. I don't know if he really realizes that because the ego is in control, but I think it really damaged his place in history as far as hip hop is concerned.
And another thing, it's nothing none of these dudes could say about Tupac that could diminish his legacy, man. You know,
That's
Pac,
the irony of it.
Pac put in his work, and that's what the fans be. They take it like that, like, well, you know, such and such saying this or such and such saying this is diminishing Tupac's legacy. No way, shape, or form.
Well, I think Flex was on Hot 97 when Pac was alive, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
have the two of them ever crossed paths? Do you know of?
I mean, I don't know if they ever crossed paths personally. I did know Pac did an interview where he said while he was in prison, he would listen to Hot 97, and you know, he felt like the DJs, most notably Funkmaster Flex, was very disrespectful to West Coast
You could hear
artists.
Pac saying that on one of them interviews.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
been
this
going
is
on.
a personal thing.
Yeah, it's personal, of course. Of course. It's been
But-
personal.
Funkmaster Flex cashed in on the Tupac jackpot at 1.2 because he had Pac on one of his albums.
Huh?
Yeah.
After Pac got out?
No, after
Before.
Pac passed away.
After Pac passed? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Huh.
he's on one of those Funkmaster Flex albums with that freestyle with Biggie. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
on one end, you could disrespect the man, but you probably still getting some bread off of him.
There was an interview with Bokeem Woodbine where he said that in a personal conversation with Pac, and I guess Pac told him not to say anything, but Pac was planning a song with Biggie and Mobb Deep.
I don't know necessarily about that, but I do know that towards the end of his life and shortly after we finished Machiavelli, he said he was done with the whole ordeal. You know what I mean? His words to us was, Biggie's my brother. You know, I just wanted to give him a spanking, mission accomplished, we're gonna move on. You know, because at the end of the day, we're not finna do this anymore. This is a bad look, you know what I mean? So he was done with it. He had got it out of his system. We had started work on the One Nation project, which is about 30 to 40%, you know, done. And he definitely had plans on finishing it and including a lot of different rappers from not only the East Coast, but all over the map.
Yeah, when you know, the whole East Coast, West Coast shit, you know, the media took it somewhere where Tupac he didn't like that shit. You know what I mean? He wasn't about his people being separated, you know, just the temperature of it. And you know, both sides, you know what I mean? Lives could have been lost, you know what I mean? And he saw that, you know what I mean? He was like, yo, you know, and that the whole One Nation shit was to bring that, you know, it was going to diffuse that whole the whole East Coast, West Coast shit. You know what I mean? Him
So
and Biggie,
he could have said that to Bokeem, you know what I mean?
yeah,
When they was doing I Ain't
him and
Mad at
Biggie
Ya,
would have absolutely
I'm not sure.
got to a conversation eventually. You know what I mean? And probably got together and made a whole lot of money together, man. You know what I mean?
Well, what Bokeem said, which I thought was interesting, he said that Tupac had a plan to put everyone together on one record and just squash the beef. He wanted to take the power away from the labels that were exploiting the situation. It angered
In the
him.
media, magazines, selling millions of copies.
Yeah. He said it angered him that they were profiting, and he wanted to stop the cash flow.
He probably did tell him that, man. You know what I mean? It sounded like the same shit he was saying to us. Like, you know, and it's proof that that's what the direction he was going in, you know? We was working on a One Nation album. First dudes we got out there was the Boot Camp clique.
Yeah.
Brooklyn legends, you know what I mean? Our
Yeah.
brothers to this day, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's where his head was at, man. Pac was a positive dude in the midst of all the, you know, the crazy shit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, we all wonder what would have happened. I mean, because I've talked to a few people about the One Nation album. Like, I think Me and E40 talked about it. He was supposed to be part of it. Outkast was supposed to be part of it. Nas, yeah.
Big Daddy Kane.
Big Daddy Kane,
A whole bunch of
Greg
people,
Nice.
man. Greg Nice. Greg Nice came out there.
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Bone Thugs and
Lil
Harmony,
Wayne,
right.
Scarface.
Scarface,
He was
yeah.
definitely going to go all over the map.
Right, it was going.
It was gonna be nuts.
That was a hell of an album that could have
Bruh,
dropped.
that would have literally changed the landscape of hip hop, period. Like, oh, y'all thought it was East Coast, West Coast? Nah, it's One Nation. We all together. We all hip hop.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's dope.
Super dope, yo.
That's dope. A story came out recently. Now, Edie, you were with Pac in Vegas when the shooting happened. There was a story that came out about some altercation that Pac had with like a high school football team. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Man, it's a new story every day, my brother.
In Vegas, while we were there, I'm gonna tell you right now, it ain't true. We don't even have to dig because that absolutely did not happen.
Okay. Well, let me, the story that
The movie coming out, Vlad. You know everybody gonna throw something out there right now, man.
It was essentially, I guess some high school kids were fans of Tupac, and they ran up to him to get an autograph or a picture or whatever, and they claimed that guns got pulled out on him.
Come on, Pac loved his fans, man.
Nah.
Now, you were with him the whole time, and you're saying this never happened.
We were separated for a short period of time, but if something like that would have happened, I'm sure I would have heard about it, and that's not even in Pac's character or nature.
Period.
You know what I mean? He was the kind of dude that stopped and signed every autograph and took every picture unless security just did not let him. They felt it was an unsafe situation, so they would, move him along, which rarely happened because I've seen Pac stop a whole fucking entourage of people
Right.
to sign one autograph.
Right. I mean, the story goes that a bunch of kids hopped off a bus and approached Tupac because they were fans, and then they turned around and two locked and loaded clique members with Glocks aimed it at the young boys. And when they realized they were just harmless teenage fans, they were saying that, Bloods, you can't be walking up on me like that.
I never heard of it, you know what I mean? And I'm not gonna say whether it's true or not true. I'm just gonna say I never heard of it, I never seen it.
There was no mention of it.
No mention of it, not one time by anybody.
Yeah, it's a really weird story.
Yeah.
To even come out this much later.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you would think that it might have been part of the investigation or something or whatever else.
Yeah, you would think something came from it. Guns drawn in Vegas in broad daylight. Somebody would have called the police, a parent,
On a whole bunch
football
of, on a whole
coach,
bunch of kids.
somebody.
Like,
You know what
get
I
outta
mean?
here,
Like that
man.
would have definitely turned into
That'd have been
something.
on Vegas news that night.
Other
Tupac
than-
Shakur pulls out a gun on
It'd have definitely
kids.
turned into something other than a 20-year-old story resurfacing out of the blue.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I interviewed Chris Carroll.
So I kind of laid down the bike. The cars came to a screeching halt. Tupac's car kind of spun out a little bit out of control there in the intersection. And I knew that one of these guys, one of the cars at least, was involved in a shooting, but I had no idea who anybody was. So as soon as the cars stopped, the doors popped open and everybody kind of just jumped out to see what was going on. And I pulled out my gun and I tried to yell at everybody to get down on the ground. I knew I was in a bad situation because I was alone, and it was physically in the middle of the Las Vegas Strip. So there's people everywhere. These car doors open. There's, I don't know how many guys, I want to say 8 to 10 guys. I could tell right away, these guys were kind of hardcore. They looked like gangsters, tough looking dudes. So I yelled at them all to get on the ground. Some did and some didn't. Some guys did, and then I could see them looking at each other like, are we going to listen to him, or are we going to run, or are we going to go after him? It was just kind of a strange little standoff there for a few seconds, and I wasn't sure what to do either, because I thought for certain it was going to be a shooting. I thought for sure, I'm like, here we go. It's going to be, we're going to shoot it out here right in the middle of the Las Vegas Strip.
It made all y'all get on the ground and shit too, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he was trying to do, you know what I mean? But we were so focused on the car, we ran right up to the car, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't realize, his guns was even at us until Pac was like, yo, he was sitting there, he was like, yo, they're gonna shoot y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so Pac was conscious?
Yeah. He didn't lose conscious until I think he was on the way to the hospital, or once he got there. Yeah, he was conscious.
Okay, so Pac just got shot up, and he's protecting you guys from the police.
Yeah, well, I mean, he could see that the cop,
was
and then by that
going
time,
there.
more cops was coming. He was like, yo, y'all gonna get shot.
a hectic situation, man. The homies, you know what I mean? Pac got shot, you know what I mean? That shit crazy.
The most interesting thing about the interview when I did with Chris Carroll was he described how he approached the car, you know, that Pac was in.
I looked at him once again. I said, what happened? Who did this? Who shot you? And now he's looking at me, so we're looking at each other in the eyes. And this is kind of the first time he's even acknowledging my presence. And he looked at me, and I could tell he was, you know, he was getting a breath together to tell me. And he looked me right in the eyes, and we looked at each other, and he said, "Fuck you." And he said it just like that, with the emphasis on that F to, you know, to really let me know. That's how he felt. So he said that, and right after he said it, he just kind of started, you know, started gurgling, and you could tell he was in bad shape, and his eyes, he's starting to lose consciousness then, and his eyes roll back. And as it turns out, that would be his last conscious moment and his last words.
Sounds like Tupac.
Is that how you remember it?
I mean, we was on the floor, face down. And by that time, other cops had came around. But yeah, he definitely said that is what Pac said to him. Fuck you. Yeah. And I don't know if Pac said anything else in the ambulance. I don't know if those were his exact last words. But, you know, essentially you could say they were. You know what I mean?
Those are the last words that you heard Tupac say.
The last words I heard Tupac say was, "Get on the ground, they gonna shoot y'all." To me,
yeah,
and to us, those were the last words I heard come out of his mouth.
Okay, but then
because we were, by that time, we were face down. You know what I mean? We was face down on the hot fucking Las Vegas concrete. You know what I mean? With guns to the back of our heads and, you know what I mean? Don't move, all that type of shit. So I couldn't necessarily hear what was being said between, you know, Chris Carroll and Tupac Shakur, but, you know.
But you heard the "fuck you"?
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay.
No. I heard Chris Carroll say that before, though. You know what I mean? This is not my first time hearing him say that.
I think it's really important that a lot of times when you look at rap, you have the image that the rapper portrays to the world.
Right.
And then you have who the person really is. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
You're a drug dealer on rap, you know, on record. The reality is you sold a few weed bags along the way, and you had a lot of friends who did it, and you're you know,
telling their story.
Telling their story.
Right.
Which has been going on with hip hop since day one.
Of course.
Right.
We artists, man.
You're artists.
Yeah, you draw
you're
inspiration from different things.
But in the case of Tupac, his last words on this earth were essentially "fuck the police." He was not going to cooperate with the police to even tell them who had shot him. Those like it gets no realer than that.
I mean, this the same dude that being carried out of quad had the wherewithal to throw up the middle finger. You know what I'm saying? And for us, that knew him and knew what the middle finger represented for us, we knew he was saying thug life. You know what I mean? You know, like I said, Pac definitely had a flair for the dramatic, man. You know what I mean? And he was always, you know, thinking, even in situations where his life was on the line and, you know, the people he cared about life was on the line. So, and like you said, man, it wasn't, you know, a lot of people like to say, well, Pac was this and that. He was a lot of things, but he wasn't a liar, and his image was him. You know what I mean? Pac wasn't created by A&R or, you know, some impresario who had this great vision of what an artist can be. You know, straight up from the ground up to the point where he left this earth, he cultivated himself into what everybody's seen. And on and off, you know what I mean? On and off camera, in and out the studio, it was essentially him. Wrong or right, whether you liked it or not.
True story.
That was that guy.
Yeah, and Pac hated the police to his dying breath.
Well, he dealt with a lot of, you know, from his childhood and his mother being in the Panthers and, you know, his uncles and things like that, being arrested, you know,
He got his ass whipped by the Oakland PD.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
You know,
yeah.
Apartments being raided by the police. Him as a kid. So, you know, you growing up and you seeing all your uncles getting took away and, you know, beaten and, you know what I mean? Yeah, of course.
How do you feel with the rash of artists in the last like 6 months that are trying to be the new Tupac? People saying this person is a new Tupac. You know, for example, we interviewed Boosie.
My next album, I'm naming it Boopac, man.
Boopac,
Yeah,
like Tupac.
Boopac.
People gonna get on you for this.
Yeah, I know it's gonna be a big old thing, but you know, it's in my heart, and you know, that's what I want to do. I'm naming it Boopac. It's a double disc, 26 songs. Because you know, I'm my generation Tupac.
Man, shout out to Boosie, man. You know what I mean? We got love for Boosie, you know.
And if you've ever been to the South and been to a party or a club or a Boosie concert, he Pac down there.
Love that dude.
You know what I'm saying? They love Boosie to death. You know what I'm saying? Specifically in the South. I'm sure he got fans all over the world. But specifically down there in that Southern market, I've seen chicks crying. You know what I mean? Because dude was coming to the club or he just left the club or, you know what I'm saying? So for them, you know what I mean? And I've said this before on record with you, Pac is the benchmark. You know what I'm saying? As a hip hop artist, like pretty much until somebody surpasses that benchmark, he is the pinnacle. You know what I mean? If you striving for greatness, if you want universal love, if you want the streets, the women, you know what I mean, the niggas, if you want all that love, you got to get to that Pac level.
And let me
I
say
don't care
this,
who
man.
you are.
You know, from the beginning, you know, as soon as Pac passed, you know, rappers was, you know, grabbing at the image.
True story.
Of trying to flip different songs. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was like, I remember one day, you know, like right after Pac passed, his mom was like, you know, we had to get out the house in California and all that. And she knew we was lost, we was fucked up, you know, and we didn't know what to do at that point. So she begged us, like, please come stay with me in Atlanta for a couple months. You know what I mean? Just to clear y'all head, figure out what y'all next move gonna do. So we took her up on that. You know what I mean? Gaddafi died in the process, but I remember we was down there. You know, back then it wasn't no internet or no shit like that. So you get your information from, you know, the magazines or, you know, such and such is doing an interview on New York radio and the homies hear it, they call us, yo, such and such said this. So,
Yeah.
you know, different information about Pac. But I remember somebody had said something about Pac. I don't remember who it was, but like a celebrity said something about Pac, you know, and we was in the house and we was discussing it, you know what I mean? And we was like basically, you know, ready to respond however we was gonna respond. And his mom came in and Fanny, I'll never forget, she barked on us. And she was basically like, you know, you guys are gonna have to develop thick skin. Tupac don't belong to y'all. People are gonna talk about him until your dying fucking day. She was like, if y'all wanna die early, listen to what these people saying about Tupac.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
His
that's
mom
deep.
told us that, man. And we was like, you know, what could we say? This is his mom telling us this. So we had to learn back then, man, that, you know, people are gonna discuss Tupac. They're gonna take from him. Like, trust me, if we paid attention to everything, we'd have a beef every fucking day, bro.
Right.
I'd have been dead. I'd have been locked up for killing somebody if we paid attention to every single thing, you know. Like, as soon as he died, man, these rappers was flipping songs and shit, like damn near,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. I'm talking about from the very beginning. So over the years, man, it's like we had to develop that where certain things is like, you know, if Boosie want to name his album Boopac, man, shout out to Boosie, man.
Right.
If Troy Ave want to name his new album Tupac, Nupac. Let him do it, man. We ain't about to be over here like ready to go to war
Yeah.
with these dudes behind this
Right.
shit.
'Cause
You
I
know
think,
what I mean? Pac the greatest, man.
Because I remember at one point, I think Ja Rule compared himself to Tupac.
I mean, a lot of
He
people
put
did,
crosses.
man.
He had crosses on his back, which a lot of
Yeah.
people thought was similar to
Yeah, I
Tupac.
remember Rule did an interview. One of them interviews, they was like, "Y'all want to see Pac? He
Yeah.
back." All you know what I mean? This
Yeah,
shit
he's
is-
here, yeah.
You know, I mean, shout out to Rule, man. You know, him and Fader was rocking real tough for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, Ja Rule's the homie, man. I fuck
Yeah,
with
man,
him.
cool dude, man. So
Very
at the end
much
of the
so.
day, bro,
Everybody did.
You know,
It's
crazy,
more
man.
rappers that it's less rappers that didn't
Right.
than that did. You
Right.
know what I mean? And shout out to the ones that didn't too, man. They deserve.
That's the
some
thing,
credit as
Vlad.
well.
You know, people want us to be the Outlawz from 1996, man. I was 18 years old when Tupac died, bro. I'm 39 years old now. You know what I mean? It's like we done learned so much in this game, man. And you know, we trying to keep this movement moving to the next level in a positive fashion. Me and E.D.I are, you know, we went from soldiers to generals, man. You know what I mean? So we got a whole movement, man, that look up to us, that ride with us, and it's our job as leaders to steer them in the right direction. If they see the Outlawz going crazy, trust me, shit could get real crazy, bro. East Coast to West Coast. You feel me? To overseas. You know what I mean? So, you know, we not making retarded decisions that we used to make when we was fucking children. We grown ass men and we moving accordingly. You know what I mean?
And I think it's just really sad when you look at the Outlawz, and everyone in the Outlawz should be alive right now, based on their age.
We was a group of
You
seven.
guys are all young guys still,
we
and
was
yet
a group of seven, man.
And
we
how
down
many-
to two, bro.
down to 2.
You know what I mean?
Well, who's the one member who just doesn't want to do anything rap related? Me and you. talked
Castro.
about Castro.
Right.
Right. Me
And
still-
Napoleon as well.
Napoleon, right. They're both alive. They just don't want to be
Of course,
associated
of course.
with
and
them.
they still Outlawz. That's
They're
for
still
them for
Outlawz.
life, no doubt.
But then how many members, Fatal died in a car crash.
2015, yo.
And then one of the members was killed.
Gaddafi. In 19, he
was
died
killed.
2 months after Tupac died. You know, he got killed by Napoleon's cousin. You know what I mean? So, you know, this game for me, it's been nothing but from the very beginning. I never been able to enjoy this shit. Tupac died before any record, that I recorded with him even came out. So it's like I get in the group and, these guys died, man. You know what I mean? This shit been like, we fighting battles every other. You know what I mean? This shit been nuts, man.
Well, there was an interview with E40 that he talked about how Tupac told him that he was working on an album that was supposed to be released after he died. He said, he was talking about Pac, he said, he was there and he was telling me about, how he had an album for when he died. So now I think about it like, you build your catalog if you're serious about being in the industry and carving your identity in the history books, and you're going to continuously stay in the studio so your name can live on forever.
I never heard Pac.
I mean, that's what Outlaw Immortals was about. You know what I mean? When we started that whole movement, and he came up with that phrase, Outlaw Immortals. His exact thinking was, what we doing now gonna live forever. We immortal. You know what I'm saying? This is immortality, essentially, what we're doing.
You famous,
you know what I'm saying?
motherfucker.
So
You
Outlaw
live forever.
Immortals, we gonna live forever, and that's where Outlaw Immortals came from. So he was always thinking post, being here. You know what I mean? Because I feel like, and this is just my personal opinion, I feel like he never imagined himself getting old and being here that long. I know he wanted to live, and this wasn't a person that was walking around, hoping to die. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like he never saw himself growing old.
Yeah.
I've heard this before. I've talked to, I think it might have been QD3, where he said that there was an urgency of getting as much music done because Pac didn't feel like he was going to be around.
Well, a lot of that urgency had to do with the fact that he was out on bail. A lot of people talk about that time period when he got out of jail.
They forget to speak on that, though.
And he was
on
working
bail.
feverishly, but he was out on bail and he
coulda
didn't
went
know.
back to jail.
Right.
He didn't know. You know what I'm saying? He really didn't know. Like, he literally could have went back to jail. He could have blew trial. You know what I mean? He already blew trial, but he could have definitely got bail revoked, and you know what I mean? Anything was possible. It wasn't like he was out on jail and he was free.
So the urgency, because people just, I guess people kind of assume once Pac got out of jail, he was really out, but he was just out on bail.
Exactly.
So if he ended up, blowing trial, essentially, he would have went back for how many years?
He would have had to do that sentence. It was 1.5 to 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So he had only did around 7.5 months.
Okay, so it wasn't, 4 years is...
Oh yeah, 4
Some
years.
time. That dude did not want to go back to jail. Period.
Right.
Absolutely not.
And that shit was on his mind every fucking day.
How badly was Pac treated in prison by the COs?
I mean, you know, he definitely wasn't their favorite inmate. You know what I'm saying? Because prior to that, he had the situation with the police. He was on record as far as about how he felt about law enforcement. You know, you would have to go to Dannemora, New York, to understand what kind of town this was. And you know, I spent my 21st birthday up there, and you know, this is not the kind of town where you see a lot of this, unless it's in that big prison, which everybody works at. You know, mom, dad, brother, sister, everybody works for the prison. That's the main shit up there in Dannemora. So, you know, they wasn't definitely happy about him. He definitely, I remember him telling us, you know, he heard the word nigga a lot, and you know what I'm saying, you ain't making it up out of here, and we know about your people, we know where you from, we know about your lineage. They knew what was up. They knew the name and everything. So I mean, it was definitely an attempt to, I believe, break his spirit, but that was like a exercise in futility. You wasn't gonna break Pac's spirit.
I read somewhere that when Pac signed with Death Row, because essentially nobody was paying his bail. You talked about that in your open letter, how the guy who got Tupac signed, and he had the #1 album, it's platinum.
Right.
He wouldn't bail him out.
Right.
But Suge bailed him out, along I guess Jimmy Iovine and Suge, I guess, got together and
Figured it out.
It's a little discrepancy on who put up the bread, you know what I mean? But
Suge
that's a
stepped
whole
up.
nother story.
He
Suge
stepped up and
stepped up.
made it happen.
Okay.
However it went down. You know what I mean?
There's a quote I had read a while back where Pac said that he knew he was making a deal with the devil, but he just couldn't be in this prison anymore, based on the way that they were treating him.
You seen Pac say that?
I did not.
Nah, I you know, he never said that to us.
Right.
You know what I mean? I never heard that in the interview. I know where he was financially and spiritually in his life, and prison definitely was, you know what I'm saying, way, way, way down at the bottom of the list of places he wanted to be. And so he definitely wanted to get the fuck out of jail, for sure.
He said Knight offered, okay, so the story goes here is that Knight offered to post a $1.4 million bail for Tupac pending an appeal. Tupac only needed to sign a 3-page handwritten recording contract. He did it so on September 16, 1995. Quote, "I know I'm selling my soul to the devil," Tupac reportedly said.
Reportedly said, though.
Yeah. So like I said, I never heard it.
So, I mean.
He never said that to me.
Right. So where did that come from, though?
It was an article about someone who covered it.
Right. Yeah. You know how they do. They always throw the little extra shit up in
Slow
there.
embellishment.
Yeah, I don't think he said nothing like that, honestly.
Right, because
He knew what he was doing. Pac was a smart dude. He was like, I'm going to get the fuck out of jail. I'm going to take care of what I need to take care of and move forward with my life, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, because I remember reading an interview with Shock G, you know, who Tupac was in the group with in Digital Underground.
Right.
And he says something to the effect of, he didn't exactly know the details about Pac's relationship with Suge, but he did always feel that Suge held Pac down the way he's always wanted to be held down. That's something that Shock G said.
Mm. They had a great relationship, man. You know what I mean? They did, bro. Like
Suge loved that. Suge loved Pac.
Them dudes was
You know what I mean? Like, I've always said that. I've always been on record. I never believed Suge had anything to do with Pac's death. I've always been clear that their relationship was one of genuine brotherhood. You know what I mean? Probably cooler heads should have prevailed in certain situations. You know what I mean? Because maybe they would both be at different points in their life. Pac would still be here, maybe. You know what I mean? But if it was a fifth, we'd all be fucking drunk. Right. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, bottom line, they loved each other. You know what I'm saying? And Pac appreciated the fact that Suge came to the table, not only for him, but for his family too. You know what I mean? Like Suge did a lot that doesn't get necessarily credit, that he doesn't get credit for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
True story.
Yeah, no, I've interviewed Michelle A.
Is he really like the scary guy that everyone portrays, or do you think that he he takes that image and tries to run with it and uses it to his advantage.
I think he's always taken it and made it bigger than it really is. I've always thought that. I said, no one man can do this.
Yeah.
But as far as him being a father, he stalks my life to be in my daughter's life. Which when I would run away, I would try and hide out for 6 months at a time. He would still find us. So I finally said, you know what? He has every right to have a relationship with his daughter. Me and him don't have to get along, but it's not fair for me to do that to her. And as far as him, back in the day, he was just generous, you know, to a fault. I remember people calling at 3 in the morning saying, yeah, my mom's house in foreclosure. She's going to lose it by 6 o'clock tomorrow. Can you help? He got out his bed, went and took money to save their parents' home. You know, I mean, really. Now, mind you, I don't know what the return on was at, but you had to gamble.
Each individual, they got families and shit too. So, you know, when you looking out for this dude in the hood, you know, he looking out for his family. So Suge did a lot for, you know,
man,
his
when
whole
we got to
community,
death row,
man.
I said this before, man. When we got to death row, we was the brokest niggas there.
Right.
By far.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Everybody looked like they was doing good. Everybody had jewelry and cars and, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, that was eating good.
I was like,
without
yeah,
a
this
doubt.
is what it's all about. This was my first experience of seeing what real money looks like in the rap game. Cause up until that point, the only person who had any real money around us was Pac and my uncle who sold dope. You know what I'm saying, for years. You know what I'm saying? Those were the richest two people in our family. You know what I mean? And Pac was always fighting cases, and his money was always in fluctuation. But
he looking out for his family
and
too,
he taking care of
you
his
know?
family as well. But you know, when we got to death row, we was hands down the brokest niggas there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Death Row made hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And Suge, you know, shared the wealth. I don't know about paperwork or none of that. That's a whole nother story. But as far as what I could see with my eyes, wasn't nobody missing no meals around there.
Yeah, I mean, the Death Row legacy can't be overlooked.
Nah, it can't be, and it shouldn't be.
Definitely
you know what I mean?
not.
Just because of the way it ended. You know, what Death Row did in the game changed a lot for the game and for rappers post them. You know what I mean? Prior to Death Row, you never had nobody like Suge moving around the industry like he moved so overtly. You know what I mean? The gangster shit was always there. Music industry started on gangster shit. But the way Suge was moving around and the way he was going to bat for his artists and being one of the first people to own his own masters and that sort of thing had never been done before.
Yeah,
up
a lot
until
of
that
dudes
point.
took that and started running with it, man. You had
Yeah.
your Master P's and your
Cash
your
Monies and all them,
man.
you know what I mean?
100%.
They did what they did.
And unfortunately,
for sure.
because of the way it ended, people kind of want to dismiss that whole movement, but it should definitely get credit. Yeah. Unfortunately, the way it ended, it won't be no 25-year anniversary or 30-year anniversary tours for Death Row or none of that type of shit. But at the end of the day, Death Row flat out changed the game.
100%. Undeniably.
No doubt.
And you're right. Suge is in jail right now. Everyone kind of went their separate ways.
Right.
Snoop is very much a viable artist these days. Daz and Corrupt still do their thing.
No doubt.
Dre a billionaire.
Dre, billionaire.
I mean, so, fortunately for those guys, man, they was able to move on and do bigger and better things. And, hopefully for Suge, he can get past what he's going through right now and hopefully get out of jail if that's what, is in the cards for him, man. You know what I'm saying?
It all come back to them good choices, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Learning from other people's mistakes, man. We done seen a lot of wrong decisions, you know what I mean?
And we seen a lot of right ones,
and
too.
we seen
man.
a lot of right
what I
ones,
mean?
man. You know what I mean?
For me, shout out to Jay Prince at Rap A Lot because
yeah.
being around them, I got to see how a label should be run and how a boss really should move.
Yeah.
For his artists and the people, he employs and he care about.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people took the Suge blueprint and omitted the mistakes that the Suge made.
As they should.
Yeah.
As they should. That's what you're supposed to do.
Gotta move forward, man. Gotta learn from all this shit, man.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Survive at the end of the day,
True story.
Absolutely. E.D. Noble, man, always a pleasure.
Man,
Absolutely.
appreciate
You
you.
know,
man.
can't wait to see you guys on the screen.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you guys are playing yourselves.
Out
Playing ourselves without playing ourselves.
Yeah, instead it's a Tupac movie, so
Yeah.
it don't focus on the Outlawz at all. But
Right.
the Outlaw Immortal movie is gonna be the sequel, man.
Absolutely. And rest in
up.
peace to Big Psych.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace to Fanny
Big Sight.
Shakur.
Yeah.
Rest in peace Hussein Fatal, Killer Gaddafi, Machiavelli the Dawn. Outlaw for life, baby.